Hello, today we are starting, we will discuss environmental monitoring and measuring techniques. Monitoring and measuring technique, these are essential for assessing environmental performance of an organization and ensuring compliance with environmental regulations. These techniques help organization track, measure, and evaluate the environmental aspects that impact the environment and are crucial for managing environmental management system EMS. These monitoring and measuring uh, techniques are a vital component of environmental management as they provide data necessary for assessing environmental performance and identify area for improvement and ensuring compliance with regulations. By effectively utilizing these tools, organization can mitigate environmental impacts and ensure compliance and move towards sustainable business practices. So here are the few environmental monitoring and measuring techniques. The first is air quality monitoring, water water quality monitoring, uh, water generation monitoring, waste generation monitoring, noise monitoring, energy consumption monitoring, GHG monitoring, greenhouse gas emission monitoring, soil and land contamination monitoring, and temperature and humidity and light monitoring, chemical exposure monitoring, supply chain and resource efficiency monitoring, and environmental impact assessment EIA monitoring. So these are the some monitoring and measuring techniques. So first we will discuss air quality monitoring. Air quality monitoring is the use of air quality sensors or ambient air sampler to measure pollutants like CO2, NO2, SO2, SOx, NOx, SOx, particulate matters, PM, ozone, and volatile organic compounds, VOCs. So these are the pollutants which we can measure with this technique by using air quality sensors and ambient samplers uh, by using these. In the application part, this technique is essentially for monitor emission from industrial emission from the when we're talking about emissions, then from the industrial processes, transportations, and other activities that air which affect air quality. So from that activity, uh, any activity we can measure that pollutant from that. In tools part, when we are talking about tools part, here are the tools: automatic air quality monitor, passive sampler, gas analyzer, and airborne particulate matter collector. So these are the tools which we use to monitor air quality. And the next point is the purpose why we will do this. So, to assess compliance with air quality regulations and to track improvement in air quality initiatives. So, this is about the first point is air quality monitoring. Next point, we were talking about a water quality monitoring. In water quality monitoring, this technique sampling and the testing of water to measure parameters like pH, dissolved oxygen, turbidity, chemical oxygen demand COD, biochemical oxygen demand BOD, and heavy metals and other contaminants. So we measure all these parameters with this technique by sampling and testing of water. In application part, used for monitoring discharge from the wastewater treatment plants, industrial facilities, or stormwater runoff. So these applications are used in this. When we talk about tools part, tools portable water test kits are available. automatic water samplers, turbidity meter, and water quality sensors. These are the tools. With these tools, we can measure the these parameters. So, for the purpose why we do this, and to evaluate the health of aquatic ecosystem, and track wastewater treatment efficiency, and ensure compliance with water quality standards. So we use this is the purpose of this particular monitoring system. Next point is the waste generation monitoring. When we talk about waste generation monitoring technique, this technique, waste tracking through the quantitative measurement of waste generated at the site, categorized by waste type: hazardous, non-hazardous, recyclable, and organic. And then application part, it helped to identify uh, trends in waste production, and identify opportunities for the waste minimization, recycling, or reusing materials. In tools part, when we talk about tools, the weight scales for waste bins, waste management softwares for tracking quantities, waste audits for the determining composition and diversion rates. And when we talk about purpose, to reduce waste generation, and improve recycle or reuse programs for this. So this is about the point three for waste generation monitoring. Next point, we will discuss the noise monitoring. In noise monitoring, uh, technique, decibel meters. We use decibel meter or a dosimeter to measure noise level in the workplace or surrounding areas. In application part, this technique is used to monitor noise pollution from industrial operations, machineries, constructions, sites, and transportation activities. In part, we use sound level monitor for the ambient noise monitoring, personal dosimeter for the worker exposure to noise, and a frequency analyzer for the noise spectrum analysis. So these are the tools to measure the noise. For the purpose part, when we talk about purpose, to assess noise pollution, ensure compliance with the noise regulations, and protect worker health, like hearing loss and all. So this is the purpose uh, for the noise monitoring. When we talk about, yes, for the energy consumption part, in energy consumption part, technique, in this technique, monitoring energy usage in building and in production processes, and using smart meter energy management systems, we can use this. In application part, the measures electricity, natural gas, and other energy sources consumed by processes and equipments. In tools part, when we talk about tools, energy meter, submetering systems to track energy used by equipment, building management systems, BMS also. So these are the tools. With these tools, we can measure overall energies. The next point is purpose: to optimize energy usage, reduce waste, and identify opportunities for energy conservations. So this is the purpose. These are the purpose to use this energy consumption monitoring. So next point is GHG, greenhouse gases, greenhouse gas emissions monitoring technique. This technique is used to measurement of GHG emission, typically CO2 and other greenhouse gases from operations, facilities and transportation. CO2 is carbon dioxide. So these are the main measurements for with this technique. In application part, when we talk about application part, the critical for calculating the organization's carbon footprint and identify strategies for reducing emissions. In tools part, when we talk about tools, the carbon emission calculator for the indirect emission and direct emission sensors for the specific GST and continuous emission for the continuous uh, emission monitoring system CEMS for the continuous emissions. So these are the tools for measuring the GHG gases, GHG emissions. For purpose, what is the purpose of this? To track emission, comply with the regulatory framework, and develop strategies to reduce carbon footprints. Next point is the soil contamination and land contamination monitoring. This technique is sampling and analyzing soil for presence of pollutants such as heavy metals, pesticides, solvents, and petroleum hydrocarbons. These are the pollutants which uh, are present in soil, and taking as a samples to analyze with this technique in the soil and land contamination monitoring. So, in application, use in landfills, agricultural area, industrial sites, and where contamination is a concern. So, in that area also. So, in the industrial site or agricultural area or anywhere. In tools part, when we talk about tools, the soil prop and augers for the samplings, and portable chemical analyzers for the field testing, and laboratory testing for the more precise measurements. For purpose part, to identify pollution source and envir- assess environmental risk, and guide remediation efforts for this. So this is the purpose to measure this contamination part. Next point is the temperature, humidity, and light monitoring. This monitoring technique is used to monitor ambient condition in the workplace, such as the temperature, humidity level, using environmental sensors. And the application ensure optimal working conditions and compliance with health and safety standards. So this is the application for this. In tools part, we use thermometer, hygrometer for the humidity, and lux meter for the light intensity, and all. So many others also. In purpose part, when we talk about purpose, to maintain workplace comfort, reduce health risk, and ensure energy efficiency in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning have work systems like this. In next point, when we talk about chemical exposure part, in chemical exposure monitoring, this technique is used to monitor work exposure to hazardous chemical or substance in the workplace through airborne sampling or biological monitoring. Application essential for workplace that use or produce chemical, ensuring compliance with health and safety regulations. In tools part, the tools personal air monitoring for worker exposure, surface surface wipes for chemical residues, and biological monitoring, example blood and urine test and all everything. The purpose of this monitoring is to protect worker health, ensure safety standard, and minimize chemical risk also. The next point is supply chain management. Supply chain management is a technique just to tracking the resource usage, material, water, energy, and environmental impact of products throughout the supply chain. So, application used to identify inefficiencies, reduce waste, and select more sustainable suppliers. In tools part, supply chain management software and supply chain management software, resource efficiency dashboards, and LCA tools like a life cycle assessment tools also. In purpose pass, when we talk about purpose, the to optimize, it's used to optimize the resource usage and ensure sustainable practices throughout the supply chain. Next point is environmental impact. Yes, environmental, yes, environmental impact assessment, EIA. So this technique is used to conducting throughout the throughout uh, conducting a through assessment. This technique conducting a thorough assessment of the potential environmental impact of new project, product, or facility using quantitative or qualitative method. In application part, when we talk about application common for large projects and or expansions, particularly those with potentially environmental consequences. In tools part, EIA software for simulation and modeling, stakeholder consultation methods, and impact scoring metrics. These are the tools to use to measure EIA. Purpose why we are using this to predict and assess and mitigate environmental impact during the planning stages. Next point is occupational health and safety monitoring. In this technique, monitoring workplace conditions such as air quality, noise, and ergonomics to ensure worker safety. Uh, in application part, when we talk about application part, and in application, it helps to prevent occupational diseases and injuries and incidents also. In tools part, ergonomic assessment tools, safety equipment checks, and worker health surveillance to ensure to maintain for the purpose why we are using this, to maintain a safe and healthy work environment, comply with the OHS standards. So this is it. These are the monitoring environmental monitoring and measuring techniques, and the few which we are discussed here. So many techniques to monitor and measure environmental techniques as per any industry, any scope, as per the scope requirement. It can be from the industry, it can be from the any business, it can be environmental monitoring and measuring, the ways or metrics can be throughout the whole businesses, throughout the whole uh, I mean other businesses also, other industry also, the within from the diverse industry also. So number of it can be a service, it can be a production, it can be a process, it can be a manufacturing, it can be a generation. So from any industry, all metrics can be measured with the number of these are not limited, these are not limited to these monitoring and measuring techniques. With another techniques also we can measure these all metrics. Okay.